Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. The figures are in regarding the pay-per-view and the gate for Terence Crawford against Errol Spence, and it's quite impressive. Pay-per-view figures between 650 and 700,000, depending on where you're looking. That generates $55 million. And on top of that, you've got the gate, which worked out at, it was a sellout, 19,990, or just under 20,000, call it 20,000. You're talking another 21 million on top of that. So $76 million. And yeah, 25 million each for the fighters. Fighter power, good to see. Okay, so both fighters earning record purses for themselves and personal bests. But isn't that a bit surprising? Because wasn't too long ago, wasn't Bob Arum, when he was promoting Terence Crawford, saying, well, I can't promote him. I'm losing money hand over fist. Was it 3 million basic he was getting, Bud? No, he just doesn't do the numbers. He just doesn't, public aren't interested, blah, 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 blah. All right. And then Bud leaves, well, his top rank contract expires. He has the Avanesian fight with, I can't remember the name of the promotional company, but it's not a particularly big, well-known one. And his reported purse was 10 million. Was that a flat fee? I think it was. $10 million. So suddenly out of the blue, he's making 10 million. Now, he's making 25 million. But old Uncle Bob, what is he now, 92? I can't promote him, he doesn't do the figures, no one's interested. Look, if ever there was an example of this being a different era for promotion, where self-promotion, social media, Twitter, Instagram, if you're, what's his name, the kid whose name escapes me, who lost a tank, Ryan Garcia. Instagram's a big thing, all this stuff, people having their own YouTube channels, fighters having their own YouTube channels, you basically promote yourself, and the job of the promoter really is now almost dealing with just the logistics of it. Now, having said that, fighters are still signed to promoters. They have promotional deals, which they have to, of course, abide by. So, with regard to Spence, 25 million, he made 25 million as well, apparently, which is more than he's ever earned. But as I mentioned in a video I did yesterday, it kind of trying to, as it was put, age out Crawford, who is 2 years chronologically, 2 years older than Spence, even though he's got far less miles on the clock, even though he's had, 21 more, no, not that many, about 11 more fights. He's a younger man because he's lived the life, and Spence hasn't. Spence has had all sorts of physical issues. Nevertheless, trying to age out Crawford backfired. Now just imagine if we'd had this fight 4 years ago. Okay, I take the fact that it was last Saturday, it was a very one-sided fight. But let's say, just for the sake of argument, before Spence had his detached retina, his car wrecks, let's say they'd have fought, and it had been a close fight, pretty close, or, maybe one guy won 116, 112, but, Spence was fresher, Crawford hadn't settled into welterweight enough, quite. So they had a fight, and then, okay, one guy wins. I've always said that would probably be Crawford, but maybe Spence could have won if he was young. You just don't know. What price a rematch? And then if the other guy won a close fight, yeah, okay, what's next? Obviously a rubber match, which could have been last Saturday's. The point I'm making is that when the best fight the best, not only can you build rivalries which go into, trilogies, or at least 2 fights, if not a trilogy, then 2 fights, that builds your reputation, your legacy, and it also builds your bank balance. Because, okay, Don't get me wrong, they both made a lot of money. But is anyone really, eager to see that rematch? Are they really going to pay for a rematch now that it was so one-sided on Saturday? Maybe if they'd started earlier and they'd been a bit more evenly matched, and Spence hadn't boiled himself down once too often perhaps, or, Bud hadn't quite gone on that knockout string at welterweight, maybe the rivalry could have spread over 3 fights. And they, perhaps when all was said and done, in 3 fights they could have made, I don't know, just off the top of my head, 50 million each, not for each fight, but 50 million. Now, a rematch is going to be a hard sell. But make no mistake about it, when fighters fight the best, they enhance their reputations. And if you enhance your reputation, your price goes up. It's just simple economics, supply and demand. People want to see you fight. Why did Stephen Fulton go to Japan to fight Naoya Inoue? Why didn't he take on Marlon Tapales for all the belts? Because Tapales has got 2 belts and Fulton could have gone down that road as well. Well, I've no doubt that Fulton wanted to fight Inoue because he is still a very good fighter, Fulton. And he probably thought he could beat Inoue. But make no mistake about it, the fact that Inoue is so big in Japan, he's an absolute superstar, and that's where the money is, that must have played, a pretty big factor in Fulton saying, go on, I'm going to Japan. And also, even though Fulton got done by Inoue, and he made more money than he was going to make against Tapales, a lot more, but he's still young enough to come back. And maybe if he could rebuild, a rematch with Inoue, at least he's got time, unlike Spence and Crawford, nearly 36 Crawford and 33 Spence. Inoue and Fulton are only 20, no, was he 30 now, Inoue, and 28, I think he's 28, Fulton. So there's a bit more time to maybe rebuild a rivalry. I'm not saying it's going to happen, I don't know, you just don't know, So I don't know, I just think that the whole number crunching thing, there's an art to it, clearly. But an awful lot of it is down to, an awful lot of it, I'm probably stating the obvious here, an awful lot of it is down to timing. And it seems to me that I can't see I don't know, is it going to happen? Spence Crawford 2? It's contracted to do so, but are they going to be able to make anything like the 25 mil that they made on Saturday? 25 mil each? I don't know. I don't think the pay-per-views will go for it. Let's say they had a rematch. 300 pay-per-view, 300,000 pay-per-views, 350, maybe 400,000. But I doubt very much whether it will be near 650, 675, 700, which is what we're seeing now. Reported anyway. So yeah, just a few thoughts on the whole idea of promoting, modern day promotion, social network promoters, fighters essentially promoting themselves, and isn't it good to see them getting the lion's share of the pie? 76 million made last Saturday, and 50 million of it went to the 2 fighters, 25 each. They deserve it. They earn it. Yeah. So yeah, got any comments? Leave them below as usual. Like the video if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you don't mind. Build up Joe Stunner Boxing, and we'll speak again soon. Cheerio for now.